Hello, friends. Molly Ponpadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal this year is to bring to you 1,000 champions of change and community builders. And today I'm delighted to bring to you Mary Power. Mary, thank you so much for being with us.
Molly, thank you. I am honored to be part of your nebula of love and change, and I commend you for the amazing work that you're doing.
Oh, fantastic. I appreciate it so much. It's a community, a movement. So I can't take all the credit for this. You're a part of it now. So thank you so very much. Please share with our audience, our community, what you're currently working on in the world and perhaps a little bit about your background, what led you to where you are.
I'll be happy to. Thank you. I am an executive leadership coach and an organizational consultant. My focus is on empowering leaders, and really that's about leadership of self as well as leadership of organizations and teams. I work with corporate entities, startups, and nonprofits, and really focus on the leaders, the C-suite, and the boards, dealing with change, either personal change that they want to make to improve themselves, improve the work that they do, change within teams that they lead to make them more effective, changes within their organization to seize an opportunity, to grow, to expand, or reacting and managing through changes in their environment, in their marketplace, or in their business model. Because today, there's an old quote that says there's nothing as constant as change. So it's a reality, and really trying to help people face it in the most positive and exciting way.
So, Mary, why is this yours to do? What is it about this work that you're just convinced this is for you to do?
Well, Molly, I have been very fortunate to lead a few lives, and I started in corporate America and the hospitality business, and then was fortunate to be invited to lead 3 different nonprofit associations. And I really did that because I felt like I wanted to make a difference and I wanted to give back, and loved what I did, but saw that leading organizations change is sometimes slow, and the impact isn't as sudden as you would like it to be. And I said, if my role in life, and I hope my talents will be served to make a difference, I think I could be most effective working with leaders so you make a difference one person at a time and touch multiple organizations versus trying to touch the world with one effort of a single organization. And it has proven to be absolutely correct for where my heart and where I think my talents are now.
That's beautiful. Well, since you spend a lot of time with leaders, now we're going to talk about leaders in your life that has really contributed to who you are today. Do you have an anecdote, or do you have someone you'd like to highlight or feature that really helped to show you extra support, love, mentored you? Anything special you'd like to share about this conscious, mindful leader?
Well, in fact, I have 2. One is my father, who gave me roots and wings. My mother died when I was very, very young, and I saw he was a small town country doctor and made a commitment. I learned priorities and giving with no expectation of return from my father. And he put his work and my brother and myself as his number one priority and never wavered, and also did it lovingly. And I think sometimes we make sacrifices, but if we keep groaning, then the benefit is not there. So I learned that at a very young age. And then it's interesting, when I was in college, the parents of one of my sorority sisters, my sister daughter, took an interest in me. And I think the combination of their 2 personalities have helped form, in my mind, what a leader is. The father, Jim Knaus, one treated me like an adult and was really genuinely interested in what I was doing and what I was thinking about for my career. And we would talk about business opportunities and challenges, and he would positively challenge me. Well, have you thought about this? What are you considering? How would that work long term? And that was amazing for me. And someone was excited about my career. His wife was brilliant, but very quiet and soft-spoken and was always in the background. But she would do wonderful, thoughtful things like remember my birthday or send cards for special occasions. And it was that constant caring that gave you the confidence. I had the excitement and the challenge from her husband, but I had that bedrock caring and concern from her. And most of our wisdom comes, I think, from looking back and pulling the lessons, because it's always so much clearer in the rearview mirror than it is when you're in the moment. And if I were to say what would create my leadership style, it was you need the blend of both. The excitement, the push, and the challenge of Jim, and the caring and the bedrock support of Harriet. So those are probably the three most significant people in my life in terms of how I've formed my concepts of leadership and giving back.
That's so awesome. I think it's amazing when we do look back and we realize all of the little things that make up the big things or the big moments, right? The little gestures at the time, when you look back, they were really profound. They really were. They gave you what you said. They planted seeds for the type of leader that you would one day become. Thank you for sharing that. It's wonderful.
Sure.
As you are in the community and developing these leaders on a daily basis with your work now, and then also when you were in corporate and when you were in hospitality and all those lives that led you to this one, when you have witnessed thoughtful, conscious, mindful leaders, community builders, champions of change, what are some of the greatest attributes that you admire or that you have seen consistently?
I think there's probably four big ones. One is courage. Taking that deep breath and that step. And to me, courage is contagious. That people will follow a courageous leader if they're doing it with intent and with care. I also think combined with courage is calm and patience, because so often when you're taking that hill or you're moving forward, you're going fast, and sometimes the best way to get people around you, and if there's tension, if there's a challenge, if there's a problem, is that calm, because it reinforces we're going to get through this. But if you feed into the negative energy, if you feed into the drama and the frenzy, then you get sucked down into probably the minor issues and you don't stay clear on the vision and the focus, and things get muddled. So to me, clarity and courage are big. Okay. And the third, particularly in corporate America, and frankly in leading boards, is genuine curiosity. Because you can get caught into what is the process? What is the how? And if you're not thinking, well, what else could we do? Or is there another way to do it? Or who is doing something similar, maybe in a unique way, you get too narrow in your focus. And though you can be effective, you can't be as effective as if you look at other options as well.
Right. Wow. So I'm gonna ask this question. How do you find calm? Being a courageous leader that has to make things happen. What tools do you use?
Well, you know what? I'm very fortunate to have my father gave me a roots life and a spiritual. So I start every morning with a quote and reflecting first, being thankful for what I have, and also just taking a deep breath and enjoying what there is around me. We often run so fast and so far that we don't stop and see the good that's right here. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is I really work hard at trying to be centered, because I've always been a hard worker and the one that gets things done, and I drive myself, and I also have a lot of energy. And sometimes you get so caught up in the motion that if you don't consciously calm down and if you don't consciously take that breath, then it's so easy to get swept up in the next thing and the next emotion. So it really is a conscious effort. And it's something I work with a lot of my clients too. Make a transition. Before you go from that heated meeting to the follow-up email, take a deep breath. Don't take the drama with you, park it. And then you're clear and you can move on. If you carry the drama with you, it will hold you back from being your best self.
Yeah. I think it's just that constant reminder of pausing. We don't pause. And I think that's why you have executive coaches and leaders that really help to remind us to use these tools, right? Because we just go, right, as you mentioned. So I was curious to see how you do it, because we teach other people, but I wanted to know how you actually do it. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
when you think of your gifts and your talents and all of your life experiences, how are you utilizing all of that, all the whole package of you today to advance missions? And the second question would be also, what are some of these missions or causes or initiatives that you're supporting that you'd like to highlight?
Thank you. Two things. One of the greatest lessons in running a nonprofit is the mission is critical. But if you have no money, you have no mission. And so you can't be so caught up in the good that you're doing, which is why you're doing it in the first place, without thinking through how can we make this sustainable? And not assuming that because it speaks to our heart, that it would naturally speak to everyone else. So part of really delivering well on a mission is thinking about partnerships, is thinking about how to best message the heart of what you're trying to do, and then thinking through how do you make it sustainable. So many things we get caught up in, this is a great idea, and it is, with the second thought of, and how can we make it last? How can we punch above our weight, if you will? And helping people think beyond what is just why this is such a good thing helps it last longer and be more effective. I used to always say that, when you run a nonprofit, you have to have a head for business and a heart for the mission. Both are equally important.
I've learned that. I have learned that through the years. When you have so much passion for your work and you're living your purpose through it, you often forget that you don't continue to live your purpose if you can't fund this mission, if you can't pay your bills, if you can't take care of the basic needs, right? So that you can be in this place of overflow, to be more, do more, to offer more. So very well spoken. Both the heart and the head have to work together for sure.
The two-part plan. And the other thing is I challenge each of my leaders to say, okay, what are you going to do? Can you do one thing today that your future self will thank you for? So often we get busy in just the doing, and we forget so much of life is about prioritization. You can have a 30-page checklist of small little busy things, or you can take care of 3 really big priorities. And we feel sometimes more satisfaction that we took care of the big list.
Right.
Don't realize we forgot the 3 rocks that are going to kind of set everything in motion. So that's the other balancing point, I think, that you need to keep in the back of your mind.
Right. Are there organizations that you give of your time to?
There are. There's several. 2 that I am particularly involved in. One is, they're both social entrepreneurships. First is WAGGY for kids, and WAGGY stands for What a Great Idea. And it teaches underprivileged children creativity towards social good. So you're taking their energy, and Waggy is the mascot. He's a lovely little dog. His cousin was Barco Polo that helped discover the New World. And we have projects in Kenya and throughout the United States. And really, it's engaging young minds to think about how together they can come up with creative solutions to make the world better. It's really an exciting opportunity. And the other, very different, also I think valuable, is I'm working with a young woman who's started a company called Entrada, and it helps non-English speakers learn English while on the job. And she's starting with Spanish and has created a learning device that you can attach to your uniform so that you can work hands-free and you can learn. And there's a whole program involved with it, but 10 minutes a day, 3 times a day for 100 days, you will have a workable grasp of the English language.
Wow.
And she grew up in the Colorado area and saw people that would work all day and then have to go take a bus to try to learn English, and it was time away from family and often wouldn't happen. Her challenge with this is the cost right now is fully funded by the hotels or the banquet facilities, or she's starting with Spanish first with those facilities, and they have to bear the whole cost. So trying to find partners, trying to find other educational groups that could give it a boost is really her number one challenge. Everybody loves the idea, but then it goes back to, but how do you fund it?
Yeah, that's right.
So those are my two big items right now, in addition just to helping both men and women, but I seem to be working more with young women on how to develop their executive presence and how to take their great ideas and put it into motion, or how to step up to that next leadership position and have courage. Courage is a big thing.
Again, courage. Yep, it is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those causes are amazing. They're so unique. They're solving problems, and I love that's what I love about these nonprofits, these grassroots initiatives. There is a need, and someone raised their hand and says, "I can fill that need. I can do it. I can do it." And then they try and build that community around them to support. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Okay. When life has been difficult or challenging, when you've had your ups and downs, I know that you have your rituals, like the morning quotes and things. Do you have a quote or a philosophy or a motto that really helps you that you can share with us so we can also utilize that when needed?
Sure. Well, in fact, I've got two that are constant. One comes from Scripture, Romans. Chapter 8:37, it says, "Yet in all things we are more than conquerors through him who loves us." And so it reminds me you're not by yourself, you're not alone, and you are more than conquerors. And you are more than just the talents and gifts and anxieties and dramas that are wrapped in your individual little world. And the other one that I love comes from Oliver Wendell Holmes, and it's, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us."
That's beautiful. I've heard that. I just didn't know who it came from. Beautiful. Yeah. I love
and it speaks to the heart of who we are. And I think so much is within each of us, and it needs to just be tapped and developed and expanded. And that's done through partnerships. It's done through creatively challenging each other and supporting each other.
You're totally speaking our language. Sent you a script or something.
No, I don't do well with scripts. I'm afraid the independent side of me likes to kind of.
It's just so awesome. It's very much in alignment with what we're trying to do here with Nebula, with this wonderful interview series that we feel honored to be gifting to the world because of all the incredible souls like yourself who really get this, who really get that they are a soul here to do something positive and powerful and empowering. And the last question, talking about powerful and empowering, is imagination. If you can imagine a better world, what would it look like through your eyes?
A better world to me would be one with priorities. And it's not always about what one person can do for you, but what we collectively can do for the greater good. And I think we've gotten into such a me world, an independent world, that we forget that we're part of something greater. And to me, a better world is one where you can lay that aside, and you need your individual accomplishments and you need your individual satisfactions, but people drive the greatest satisfaction at the end of the day for doing something greater and engaging more than just their own little world and their own little concerns. So to me, a better world is a bigger world that we all contribute to.
Well stated. Thank you so much. How can our community support you personally right now? What is it that you need? What is your ask? What can we do to support you and your mission?
Molly, thank you. Well, 3 things. One, for Waggy, the biggest thing that the kids love and kind of takes them to the next step are t-shirts. So if anybody knows where we can get t-shirts contributed, where we can get some simple things like that for the kids, I would love a source or a partnership. For Entrada, if anybody knows of community partnerships that could help either promote the concept where someone else might want to fund it, or someone that's funding education or support of underserved groups, that would be great. And for my coaching and organizational work, I would love stories where people have overcome a challenge, where they have found sources of courage and also great advice. What one snippet of advice has anyone given them that's helped them move? I'm creating a collection of them to share online and also to encourage people, because sometimes there's a story that will just help motivate someone else. So I'm collecting stories and and thoughts. So a little bit like your series, but just to hopefully use them as tools as I coach and as I mentor and as I do the work with growing teams.
That's beautiful. Well, we definitely can talk offline on all of those three things.
Okay.
Ideas, and certainly we gift you with all of these community builders and champions of change that we're highlighting, because they all have powerful and empowering stories of courage, of traumas and tragedies that they've overcome. So certainly we'll just open up our network and our community to support you as well.
Molly, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I think the work that you're doing is amazing. So it embodies courage, curiosity, and caring. So you've got all 3 C's.
Thank you so very much. How can we get a hold of you? How can we reach you?
My website is m-poweringleaders.com. And my email is mary@m, the letter, not em, just the letter M, poweringleaders.com.
Great. Thank you again so very much for your insights today. It's so valuable. We appreciate you very much for all that you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you're doing as well.
You're very welcome. For those that are watching, please remember to nominate yourself or someone in your community who's making a great difference in our society. Please visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.